reopening on Capitol Hill.
The former FBI agent defending his actions in relation to Hillary Clinton's email investigation and the Russia probe.
Here to break down what happens next is senior legal fellow for the Heritage Foundation, John Malcolm. John, thanks for coming on this morning.
Good to be with you.
Democrats are about to take control of the House, so I suspect this is all going to change dramatically here very soon. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's certainly the case. Jerry Nadler will take over for the House Judiciary Committee. I'm not sure who takes over the House Oversight Committee. This was a joint committee hearing that took place, and the focus will turn a lot more on subpoenas being issued to the Trump administration and not calling Jim Comey for more marathon closed-door sessions.
He was pretty outspoken in that interview. What did you make of what he had to say?
Well, look, he was invited there because he's the former FBI director, and he was there to answer questions. And it seems that he really, at this point, has a personal vendetta to try to bring down the presidency of Donald Trump. And frankly, my view is, and I know Jim Comey from my time at DOJ, is that people who live in glass houses should not throw stones. I mean, this is a guy who had absolutely no problem violating protocols when it came to making decisions to open and then close and reopen and reclose the Clinton email server investigation, leaking his own memos, violating protocols with respect to the Michael Flynn interview. I mean, if Jim Comey decided that he thought something ought to be done, he has no problem setting aside rules that are meant to apply, particularly in situations when their investigations are fraught with political peril.
Well, John,
so I think he should not be throwing stones at anybody.
That's a fair point, but a lot of people are saying that he's political, that he's a Democrat, that he's pro-Hillary Clinton. The Democrats say that he cost Hillary the election by reopening that investigation. Right. So it's interesting to hear that side of it. From Republicans, I don't really see that. What do you think?
At the time that Jim Comey was fired, nobody thought that he had acted appropriately, and nobody thought that he was doing a good job. But of course, the moment that he got fired, then it became, something that Donald Trump was somehow up to something nefarious, even though lots of people on both sides of the aisle thought that Jim Comey's behavior had not exactly covered him or the FBI with glory.
Let's talk about Michael Flynn for a second here, because Robert Mueller releases the witness report, and I want to go to this quote from a portion of it anyway, where it says the interviewing agents asked Flynn if he recalled any conversation with Kislyak in which the expulsions were discussed, where Flynn might have encouraged Kislyak not to escalate the situation, to keep the Russian response reciprocal, or not to engage in a tit for tat. Flynn responded, "Not really. I don't remember. It wasn't don't do anything." I mean, there certainly were a lot of I don't remembers in that. A lot of people, talking about that last night, this morning. What did you make of it?
Well, it was a strange 302. That's the number in the form that the FBI uses for its witness interview notes. I mean, he's asked about comments. Clearly, Jim Comey and the other people in the FBI, and ultimately Bob Mueller, decided that this conversation was very important. It had happened recently. He has to have remembered that he talked to Sergei Kislyak about sanctions that the Russian government was going to impose against the U.S. But at other times in that memorandum of interview, Flynn appears to acknowledge that he knew that his conversations had been recorded. And if you knew your conversations had been recorded and you're being interviewed by the FBI, why would you lie about that? There was a lot of I don't recall, I don't think so. Yeah. But look, he's admitted that he made a false statement. I don't think he is going to try to do anything to undermine his plea, particularly since he's likely to get no jail time. Yeah. What Judge Emmett Sullivan is going to think about how the FBI behaved in these charges in light of this information remains to be seen.
And what about, Flynn has these two former associates. They're charged with, I guess, trying to do some of Turkey's dirty work, trying to pull this guy, Fethullah Gulen, back to Turkey because Erdogan, the Turkish president, has a real problem with this guy. And they say Flynn's associates were trying to do some foreign work with our politicians, trying to convince them to do that for them. What do you make of that?
Well, so this obviously came out of Michael Flynn's cooperation. So his company, the Flynn Intel Group, was paid nearly $600,000 by the Turkish government to try to lobby in order to get the U.S. government to extradite President Erdogan's nemesis, Fethullah Gulen. And these two other associates, one in Turkey, one in California, did a lot of that dirty work. And they said that they were being hired by some Dutch company that one of the two people owned in order to lobby on behalf of business interests in Turkey, and in fact, they were doing the bidding of the Turkish government, receiving regular briefings.
Could that hurt Flynn at all?
No, I think, in fact, Flynn got credit for cooperating and providing that information. He has not been indicted for those charges.
John,